Morning, everybody. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding in the book of Bamidbar, we're holding Pashas Bahaloischa on chapter 8, verse number 1. God spoke to Moshe saying, to speak to Aaron, when you kindle up the lamp, place the wick so that the 7 lamps shine to the center shaft of this menorah of the candelabra. Rashi says, what is the connection between the balescha, the menorah, and the princess bringing the offerings? Because when Aaron HaKohen saw the dedication, how the Eibishter loved the dedication of the princes, he felt bad. He felt bad. That why? Because out of all the princes, the tribe of Levi didn't bring anything, and neither nor him nor his tribe. So the Eibishter said to him, "Don't worry. By your life, your part is going to be greater because you're going to light this menorah every single day." And Aaron lit the menorah all the 40 years that the Jewish people were in the desert, even though you didn't have to light the menorah. The Kohen Gadol doesn't have to light the menorah. Aaron HaKohen lit the menorah every single day. Baleischa, Rashi says, when you cause it to ascend, because the flame rises upwards, a term ascent is written regarding the kindling of the lamp, indicating that one must kindle them until the flame rises on its own. Our rabbis further derive from here that there were steps in front of the menorah, for which the priest stood in order to clean out the lamps. Also, the Kohen Gadol that lit the menorah was not allowed to lift his hands above his head. So you have to make sure that when he lit the menorah, it was either straight towards him or was below him, below his hands, below his head. What does that mean? Towards the middle lamp, which is not the branches, but the main centers, the center stem of the candelabra. Everything came out. The menorah was made out of one piece of gold. Meaning simply for the 6 lamps on the 6 branches, the wicks of the 3 eastern ones must be placed facing the middle one. Similarly, the 3 western ones must be placed facing the middle one. And why is it so? So that people would not say he needed it for the light. The menorah was not there so that there should be light in the Mishkan. There was no need. The menorah was not there for that reason. If they needed light, they had other things. But the menorah was there for the light of the Shekhinah, for the light of God that was in the Beis Hamikdash. And that's what Aaron did. He did. He kindled the light to the face. He faced the center, like God told Moshe. Rashi says, this is written to tell us that Aaron's praises. Shleishina. He did it for 40 years, and he did it every day with the same excitement, and never changed anything. Did exactly the same thing every single day. Verse number 4, this is the work of the menorah. Mikshazov, it was made out of one piece of gold. Mikshahi was hammered from its base to its flowers. Kamara shehera Hashem es Moshe, like the way Moshe Rabbeinu, God showed Moshe, Cain Asas HaMenorah, that's the way the menorah was done. Now she says, the Holy One, blessed be He, showed him the visual representation with his fingers, so to say. Zeh, whenever it says the word Zeh, Zeh means this, showed it to him, because he found the construction difficult, as it says, and that's why it says V'zeh. Miksha means beaten, as his knee was beaten against one another. It was 1 block of gold weighing a talent, which he beat out with a hammer and cut out with a chisel to shape the components correctly. It was made by attaching individual links. It was not made by attaching individual links together. Would have been much easier to make this menorah into parts and put it together, but it was not done that way. Pircha is the flowers, its base, structure resembling a box above its feet. It was hollow, like the silver candelabra is used in the presence of nobles. Pircha, until the base, until its flowers, entire body of the candelabra and everything linked with it was all hammered out of one piece of gold. This was the base, was the big part of the menorah. At Pircha, The pircha is a flower, which is the most delicate construction of this menorah. Everything else was beaten in one piece. It was usual from ad used the meaning that it that megadish vakama. We burned everything from grain stacks to the. So it's everything came from one from the. It was one from the other. It was made out of one beautiful piece of gold. Kamara shehera. Now she says, according to that which is shown to him in the mountain, as it says, observe their form that it was shown on the mountain, the Mount Sinai, and make them in that manner. Cain asa menorah. So he made the menorah. What do you mean he? The one, he doesn't say who. Betzalel, who made the menorah? Cain asa, he made the menorah. And according to the Agada, it's not specific who made it because Moshe threw the block of gold into the fire and it was made by itself. So when it says Cain asa, who made it? The Eibishter made it. God made it. And that's why he. So he made the menorah. Usually would say, so did Betzalel made the menorah. So did Moshe Rabbeinu make the menorah? But it says Cain, that's what he did. Who is he? God. God made the menorah because they couldn't make this menorah. It was impossible for them to create this menorah. Because if you know the parts of the menorah and how beautiful goblets and flowers and all had to come out, very difficult. And therefore, the Eibishter made it himself. So says the Medrash. Verse number 5. God says to Moshe, God said to Moshe, take the Levites from the Jewish people. He shall purify them. Now she says, Kach, what means take? They're human beings. So therefore, when it says by human being Kach, it means convince him with words. Fortunate are you, they able to merit to be servants of God. Kach, take them, impress upon them. Verse 7, and this is what you should do to purify them. Sprinkle upon them the purification waters, the chatas, the carbon, the paraduma. You should first, a razor shall go upon all the skin. The chips to begin with taru. There was one time in history that all the Leviim were shaved, and they were purified, and they became part of the part of the service of the Beis Hamikdash. Now she says, as I said, made with the ashes of the red cow. That's mechatas. Whenever usually it says mechatas, the water, purifying water of the chatas. That was what it means, a chatas, a sin offering. But this was the paraduma, the red heifer, which we'll learn soon, a couple of weeks, because these are amongst them defiled through the contact of the dead. So the Levium need to be purified if anybody ever came in contact with the dead. So they need to make sure that they were pure. But Taviru Tar, I found the words that are Moshe Darshan. Rashi, it says many times that Moshe Darshan, he loved this rabbi. Since they were appointed to atone the firstborn who committed idolatry, who are called sacrifice to the dead, and a Matzayda is also called dead, so they were required to shave. This was unusual, This, according to some, this brought about the Kairach's rebellion. His wife laughed at him that he shaved himself totally head to toe. So this brought about. This was a one-time situation, which the Eibush told Levine to shave themselves. This was not a usual situation. This was done. A person Chas v'Sholom was a Matzayda. A Matzayda had to do the same thing. The Levine were not Matzaydim. So the Eibush wanted that they had to purify. He wanted to create an entity of Kedusha in the midst of the Jewish people. So he put them through a total purification situation. That they would become different entities. It didn't happen again. But this was the first time the Levium, and since then, every Levi throughout history is special. The Levium are special. And you should take a young bull, and with grain, offering mixed with flour, and take another second bull, tika lachatas, you should take for a carbon machatas. Now she says, you take a bull, this is the sin offering, as one of the ascent offering. This offering prescribed in the case of communal idolatry. So we know, because you don't take a bull on Yom Kippur, community that sins. So this is unusual. And this was to come to forgive on the community because they were coming instead of the Jewish people. So it was came to forgive for the Jewish people. Par Sheni, Mata Amalim, why did the scripture say Sheni? To tell us the dust of the ascent offering was not eaten, so too the sin offering was not eaten. Unlike other usual sin offerings. This statement is a Teres Kainim, provides us Rav Moshe Adashin words that this offering atoned for community idolatry. For the sin offering brought in such a case is also not eaten. I, however, say that in any case, this was a one-time ruling. So now she says, I don't have to go to Rav Moshe Adashin. I think it's simple that this is a one-time ruling because of idolatry they would normally have brought a goat as a sin offering together with a scent offering of a bull rather than another bull. So therefore Rashi says this is a unique case. This is a special case. This is not a usual sin offering. This happened once in history at the time when the Levian were inaugurated to the service of the Beis HaMikdash. Kraftas the Levian if they murder and bring all the Levian before the tent of meeting. And after you bring all the Kohanim, all the Levian to the tent, to the Beis HaMikdash and the Mishkan, you should call all the Jewish people together. Now she says, since the Leviim are giving atonement instead of them, the community must come to stand by their offering and lay their hands on them. They need to, the community, the Klal Yisrael, needs to come together and inaugurate them because they are in that state, so they need to be inaugurated by Yidden themselves. Verse 10: V'krafta Leviim lefnei Hashem, you shall bring the Leviim before God. V'samchu b'nei Yisrael yedeim al Leviim, and the Jewish people, so to say, should lay their hands on these Leviim. Hey nef Adam as a Leviim, and then Adam must pick up every Levi. And tenuful lefnei Hashem, he needs to pick them up as a waving before God. Meis b'nei Yisrael from the Jewish people. V'hoyu la'avodas avedas avaya, and that's going to bring them in to do the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Avodas Hashem, service of God. Now she says, in the same way as a guilt offering of a Matzorah requires waving when alive, the term waving offering is stated here 3 times in this passage. The first refers to the clan, to the group of Kahas. It was therefore said about them, they must perform God's service, for the service involved carrying the holiest objects, the ark, the table. The second refers to the group of Gershon, the family of Gershon. It was therefore stated them a waving offering to God, for the service involved holy object, the tapestries that hung, the planks that would be inside the holy of holies. And the third one is written for Bnei Merari, for the family of Merari. So that's why each group had a different service in the Beis HaMikdash, and each group was mentioned separately. And then the Leviim should put their hands upon this par, 2 pars, these two bulls. You should bring 1 bull as a korban chatas, 1 bull as an oila, as a burnt offering, la Hashem, to God, lechaper al Leviim, to tone on the Leviim. Verse 13, and then you shall, once they go through the service, they have been dedicated, then they shall stand lefnei Aaron, before Aaron, or lefnei Bana, before his sons. They become part of Aaron HaKohen and his sons to help him out in the service. And after Hashem, and he must lift them as a waving for God. V'ivdalta Leviim, and for now and ever on, you should separate the Leviim. Mitoich b'nei Yisrael, for the Jewish people, the Leviim should be in a different category than the rest of the Jewish nation. V'hoyu li Leviim, because the Leviim now become part of me, so to say. They become mine. The Leviim become HaKadosh Baruch Hu because they come part of the service of God, the service in the Beis HaMikdash. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya today. We are holding Shara Yichud Ve'emunah. We are starting the 4th chapter of the portal of unity and faith. So, since the divine activating force responsible for the existence of created things must continuously be present within them, and are completely nullified to their source, this means as Alter Rebbe explains in the previous chapter, that in reality they don't exist. So really, anything that needs something else on a constant basis doesn't really exist. What exists is this force that gives it life. It's not there without it. So why then do we nevertheless perceive created beings enjoyable, tangible existence? Why can we feel ourselves? It's only because we are unable to see, and maybe thank God we're unable to see, or comprehend the divine utterances that are contained within each created thing, and that calls them into being. So it's not because of the godliness, it's because of our lack of sight. It's our lack of comprehension. Alter Rebbe illustrates this by considering the sun's ray. When they are not within their source, the sun, but diffused throughout the expanse of the universe, they are perceived to have an independent existence. However, when they contain within the sun globe, they clearly have no such existence. They are part of the sun. Following question, therefore, arose. Since created beings, unlike the sun ray, must constantly have their source within them, why do we actually see how they're completely? Why do we not actually see how they're completely null to their source? Why take it? How is it possible that we don't actually see this null, that they're truly null? In order to answer this question, the Alter Rebbe wrote that a certain preface must be necessary, and hence the fourth chapter. It now elaborates on God's capacity. This is one of the deepest concepts in the Chassidus, Kabbalah, the concept of Tzimtzum, the concept of the contraction of godliness. And this is a very deep concept. And not everybody has the capacity to understand it, but you got to learn it. Kinei, Ksiv, it's written in the Pasuk. We have a pasuk. It says, "Kishem meshumogin Hashem Elikim." Sun and the shield is Havaya Elikim. That we compare Havaya Yudke Vavke and Elikim. These are the two names of God. 7 names of God, but these are the 2 major names: Yudke Vavke, Elikim, and the verse says, "Kishem meshumogin." Thus, like there's a shemesh, there's a sun, and there's a mogin, there's a sheath. Says the Medrash says that the Eibishter put the sun into a box, so to say, because the sun would consume the world. The power of the sun is so strong that it would consume the world. It would burn the world. It would burn it to a crisp. But the Eibishter God did. He put the sun into a naitek. It's a Gemara. He put the sun into a naitek. He put the sun into a sack, so to say, and that's its protection to the world. So the Eibishter put the Shem Yudke Vavke, so to say, in Shem Elikim. He put these two concepts together, and now the sun and the Yudke Vavke is the sun, and the Naitek, it's sheath Elikim, come and protect the world. Shem Meshumagin Havaya Elikim, just as the sun gives force illumination, so does the 4 names of the letter of God's name Yudke Vavke Havaya provide us with spiritual illumination. Likewise, just like the sun shields and protects us, the sun shield protects us from the intensity of its ray, so does God shield us with the divine name Elikim. Elikim. That's what you say. Yudke Vavke is Midas HaChesed, and Elikim is Midas HaGevurah. Yudke Vavke is singular, Elikim is plural. Pirush Mogain, what is a Mogain, a shield? Who naitek lashemesh refers specifically to the shield that the Gemara says is a covering, a naitek, a sack, a covering for the sun. God put the sun, so to say, in a covering, so that the sun should not. You see, the sun has to be in a certain distance from the earth, also, but it also needs to have a protection. A hug and protect the creators of the humans, be able to handle it. Because if the Eibishter didn't put the sun in its protective shield, Chas v'shalom, humanity would burn. The Gemara says, our sages of blessed memory said, it's brought on the Gemara, Hos loving. How is the Eibishter going to punish the wicked? It's very simple, the Gemara says. Eibishter will take out the sun from its shield. The wicked are going to burn. It's Pasha, it's going to consume them. The sun will consume all wickedness in the world. It's like a mikveh, a haisa mikveh. The wicked will be punished by it, as they're unable to bear the intensity of the sun. The passage goes on to say the righteous will not only bear its tolerance, so the sun, because Chas V'Shalom, the Eibushter created the sun to be destructive, God forbid. So therefore the Gemara says, relax. That actually the sun for the wicked is going to be a terrible thing. But for the righteous, actually the sun's, the intensity of the sun will heal all the righteous. Everybody's going to be healed by the sun. So the sun will heal everybody. It's happened. Yaakov Avinu, the Eibusha brought the sun, and it healed him from his limp with his fight with the angel. Just like the covering of the shield of the sun, protecting creatures from the intensity of its ray, so that the benefit may be derived. So today we don't have that concept. So today we need to, even the world needs to have the good, the righteous, and the wicked all need to have this sun to be in its sheath, because we cannot handle the intensity of the sun. So that's the analogy. The analogy only. You can't compare God to a sun, but it's an analogy. So too, the name Elokim, that's what the pasuk says. It's a pasuk. So too, the Shem Elokim is like the covering, the shield that protects, that the Shem Havaya, that wants to consume the world, that wants to take over the world, should give which would take away the existence of the world. It comes the Shem Elokim, and it's Midas HaGevura, and it's the contracting name, and therefore it becomes plural, it becomes diverse, and now many entities can receive, and it's less intense, so to say. So enabling it's still the name of God, enabling the creator of the universe to absorb the divine illumination that emanates from it, and that's it. Our opening verse, the sun and the shield, the Havaya Elokim, thus means that the name Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei, illuminates like the sun, while the name Elokim screens its illumination. And that's Tzimtzum. So the name Elokim is the Tzimtzum, like the sheath of the sun, enabling the light to be received. Shem Havaya, because the name Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei. We say Havaya, you see, as is written over Havaya. So we say Havaya, we scramble the letters. So we don't want to say God's name. So we say Havaya, we put the Hey before the Yud and the Vav. So now we say Havaya. That's the yeshiva terminology. And it's not so you have Havaya. So when you hear the word Havaya, you know what it means. God, Yud Kei Vav Kei. So you're not allowed to say God's name, but the name Havaya, which is Yud Hey Vav Hey, Pirushe Shemahave Sakel. Yud Kei Vav Kei is Havaya. Maya means to mehave. That's the meaning of the word. The word means brings into existence. What is Havaya? Havaya is existence. As God said, Moshe Rabbeinu asked God, "What's my name?" I am who I am. I exist because I exist. Is existence. So Havaya is the concept of existence. The aspect of existence is the name of God. And that's the concept of existence. So the Rebbe knows that this refers to the last three letters of Havaya. Hey, Vav, Hey, of this name. Which forms the word Hoive, which existence. The root of the verb, which means to bring into being, existence. So what do you need Yud? Therefore, Alter Rebbe says, "Vayud mishamish ala pula." The letter Yud Kei Vav Kei, prefix of the Hoive, because the Hoive is what is. So why don't you just call the Eibush the Hoive? Modifies the verb, indicating the action is present continuously. The Yud is symbolized that it's not something that exists; it continues to existence, as the Baal Shem Tov taught. The continuous existence of the world. The world needs continuously to be brought into existence. As Rashi explains the verse. That's what Eve continues to do, not that he did. But that's what he continues to do. So the letter Yud, Rashi says, why did it say Yeh Asa? Why didn't it say Kasa Asa Yeh? But it says Yeh Asa, because it comes to tell you not that it's what Eve did. This is what Eve does. Eve continues to do this every day of his life. And that's what the letter Yud. That's what the letter Yud does to a word. So the letter Yud, here it comes to emphasize that, like the Baal Shem Tov taught, that the Eibishter, so to say, God, continuously creates the world. And by this continuous action is you have the creation of the world. Just as here the prefix, the letter Yud, indicates an ongoing process. So too does the initial Yud of the name of Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei, indicate that God creates excellently continuously. What does it mean that the God creates the world continuously? This indicates the life force, which flows at every single instant in all created entities, from the word of God and the Spirit, which brings it into existence. You should realize that the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe wanted this teaching to transform you and to talk to you, that the Eibishter didn't create the world. That's not the Emunah. That's also an Emunah in there. But the real Emunah is the Eibishter creates the world right now. And it's an important lesson. There's an important lesson in that concept, that the Eibishter creates the world right now. That means that yesterday was gone already. And the future, I don't know. But I know that God created me right now. And the importance of now. Moshe Rabbeinu also emphasizes Hayom, the importance of today. Don't talk to me about yesterday. Don't talk to me about tomorrow. Today, because God created the world right now for the new. And there's a new world right now. So what I did yesterday is gone already. That world is gone. And what's going to be tomorrow, I don't know. It's not here. The world's not here yet. Not tomorrow, in an hour. I don't know what's going to be in an hour. I know right now. Right now, I know where I am. And right now, the Eibishter created this world for the new. And this is an important concept. It's an important emunah in our belief. Not every day, every moment. Because it's not a fact. In fact, that for the fact that they were created in the sixth day of creation, that's 3,000 years ago, that they would continue to exist. It's not enough. It's not enough that the Eibishter created the world 6,000 years ago. It's not enough. The Eibishter created the world right now. Chorega creates the world every moment. So it's a sun, Havaya, whose illuminates and continues bringing creation to being. However, were this illumination to be revealed within created beings, they would be aware of their complete nullification within their source. And we would not see before us created beings. For I explained earlier, when their activating force is perceived, the created being is non-existent. This is why the shield of Lakim is necessary. In order to conceal from the created beings the vital illumination of Havaya that would sit within them, and that it is responsible for their existence. Only then can they preserve themselves as existing independently with their life force. And this perception in turn makes it possible for created beings to consider and feel themselves tangible and naught. So that's why the ultimately human being has to come to the conclusion that he's not. God didn't want that he should be naught from God's existence. God wanted that a human being should come to the conclusion on his own. And he should come to that conclusion after he made him a yesh. And through his avodah, through his intellect, through his learning, he would nullify himself. And the beautiful thing of that is everybody can do it on their own level. And it's a journey to mavatal yourself, to nullify yourself. And you go from daiga to daiga. You go from level to level. You have to nullify yourself a little every day. And therefore, you can bring about this concept day to day. In the enumerating of the praises of God, Ksiv Hagodel Hagiber. We say in our davening every morning, we say Hagodel, the Eibishter is great. Hagiber, the Eibishter is mighty. And so on. Hagodel, Hagiber, Vanoida, Kael, Elyon. Peter Hagodel, what means the Eibishter is great? What do you mean the Eibishter is great? Midas HaChesed. So Chassidus and Kabbalah, Godel goes on the concept of kindness. Why is Godel kindness? Because kindness is a spastus. Kindness is to spread forward. Kindness is connection. Kindness is bringing things together. The Eibishter is Olam Chesed Yibana. The Olam of the whole world is based on kindness. And God wanted kindness in this world. And therefore, the Eibishter wanted many worlds. He wanted many things in this world. He wanted unbelievable things in this world. And he wanted everything should be beautiful and wonderful. It should be a beautiful world. It's his Gan. Created a beautiful garden. The Eibishter wanted. He created his whole world for nothing to something through gratitude's kindness. Chesed chinam. He didn't ask for anything back. There's nothing you can give him back. The Eibishter's true kindness, unlimited kindness, because he didn't ask for anything back. There's nothing that humanity could give him back for all the kindness that he's done to the world. There's nothing. The Eibishter's infinite. So what can you give to him? Can't give it. V'nik is gedula. So that's chesed chinam. You should realize that word chesed chinam. That's why we as humans cannot understand the chesed of the Eibishter. We just can't understand it because our chesed is usually strings attached to our chesed. But the Eibishter gave chesed, no strings attached. God maintains all creatures whether they are worthy of his kindness or not. It's not important to the Eibishter. The Eibishter is chesed, and by him it's important the concept of giving. Teva, the Gemara says, what's chesed? Teva ha'tov lahetiv. The nature of good is to do good. That's it. Doesn't need something else to tell it to do good. Doesn't need any kind of response for good. And it's called this chesed. It's called greatness. Because it truly comes from the greatness of God. The Eibishter himself can create a world that is the opposite of him, that maybe even goes against him. Still gives. Non-stop giving. Because the greatness of God is unsearchable. There's no, you cannot understand God's chesed. You cannot understand because you can't understand God's greatness. In so much as it's infinite. And therefore, it's infinite concept of greatness. And you can see that in the world, the way the Eibishter created this unbelievable, beautiful world. An unlimited greatness, an unlimited beauty. Therefore, he caused life force and existence ex nihilo to issue forth for unlimited numbers of worlds and create. Unlimited. 7 worlds, unlimited amount of creations in all the worlds, from Malachim to everything, to humans and everything that's in this world. And this is a statement that Rebbe would say many times. I said it just now. Sheteva atayv lehetiv. It's a statement of the Gemara. Because the nature of benevolence is to do good. That is good. Benevolence doesn't need to have something to inspire it to do good. That's what it does. God benevolence does dictate that there be infinite number. Well, that's it. There's no concept that the Eibishter cannot create, doesn't want to create, there's no aspect in the world that can stop the chesed shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The kindness of God. We'll soon get to the Gevurah, but the Eibishter's kindness is unlimited, and that's why we should always tap in to the chesed shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And one of the ways is by us being chesed. Mahu chesed. We should also have chesed chinam. We should try to all emulate the kindness without strings attached, without any feedback, without any pay, so to say, reward. And that completes the Tanya of the day. Beautiful Tanya. Today is the 12th day of the month, which we end the holiday of Shavuos today. 12th of the month, we end the holiday of Shavuos. So the Tillim of the day is chapter 66 and chapter 68. You do those 3 chapters, you do the Chitas of the day. The Rebbe writes in the name of the previous Rebbe, Frierdiker Rebbe says, my father wrote in a letter that he wrote, the Rebbe Rashab once wrote in a letter, cherish criticism, for it will place you on the true heights. That's Gevurah. Cherish criticism. What a powerful statement. My friends, God bless you all. I apologize, but I'm going to be traveling, so we're not going to have a Tanya class today. And Mit Shem, I will learn Chitas tomorrow at 8 a.m. We'll continue to learn Chitas together from wherever we are. That's the beauty of Zoom. God bless you all. Have a beautiful and wonderful and happy and healthy day. And Mit Shem, I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 a.m. Have a beautiful day.